earlier, and it just kind of talks about the opportunities that are out there. And one thing we wanted to highlight too is the fact that lacrosse is like an equivalency sport. Allowing coaches to kind of award partial scholarships, and a lot of coaches take advantage of that. It's always nice as a student athlete to get a little something. And coaches, they take advantage of that to hopefully get more quality recruits onto their rosters, and full rides aren't always as common as people say they are. It's very important to be conscious of what people say. At times take it with a grain of salt, because it's always not true, unfortunately. So talk to the coaches about what opportunities they have left, on their rosters. Get the scoop from the people that are kind of in the midst of this, such as our coaches. So that's something that we just wanted to highlight as an organization here as you move through this process. All right, so we'll kind of keep moving through the idea of scholarships and challenges that kind of come along with it. This question here for Coach TK: how do you kind of determine if a player is a scholarship player? Simply put.
Sure, a little bit of everything we've been talking about, but as much as a player might not think so, they get to create their opportunities. So if you're taking care of school, if you're involved in a community, you're maybe a contributor on numerous teams, not just a lacrosse team, and then you have some incredible talent on the lacrosse field, you have put yourself in a position to have options and also open the door for scholarship, let alone merit scholarship, because of your academics. So, the harder you work, the more opportunities you create yourself. And I think a lot of players and families sometimes believe that it's the opposite, that coaches are going to create those opportunities, and and unfortunately, in our minds, it's the players really get to create that for themselves. We're not going to miss a great player and an awesome student. Those don't get lost. Someone will find you and want you.
At what point, Coach TK, do you kind of start to talk about those opportunities with some of the athletes there that you're recruiting?
Most of the time, if they come on campus and they're a scholarship athlete, they will know that they're a scholarship athlete before they leave. Whether or not we offer them the actual offer depends on where they are in their recruiting process. Kind of like if we're their first school they visit, even if they love us, they don't know what's out there yet, and I want them to know that they still would want us before we're going, and going on a whim and offering something so special as a scholarship.
Sure. Coach Cooke, do you want to touch on some of the scholarship opportunities that are out there for your program, and how you kind of go through the process with girls that you recruit?
Well, honestly, I think it sounds very, sounds very, similar to Division I. I mean, one of the major differences is instead of 12, we're allowed 9.8 scholarships, and our rosters, not always, but our roster size will probably be somewhere in a range of 34 to 36 kids. But as she said, the academic athletic kid is not going to get lost. If I look at looking at my own roster, we have one individual that's on an athletic scholarship, and that's all she gets. And then we have basically 15 kids that receive an academic and athletic. And then we have probably another 14 or 15 kids that are strictly on an academic scholarship. And the reason they're on an academic scholarship and not athletic, there's no way we would even be able to compare to the academic scholarships. Again, now each school is going to be a little bit different in how they award their merit-based scholarships, but in many cases, that I've been familiar with, and the several schools that I've had a chance to work at, normally it's the academic scholarships that beat the athletic ones. The athletic scholarship is what I consider the whipped cream and the cherry on top. But the meat or the ice cream of your sundae is going to come from the academic side. But when do we start? Same thing. I mean, we'll let individuals know that that they're a scholarship candidate. I mean, our 2017s, it was a little bit, I hate to sound, it was a little bit easier just because we're kind of right in the, the heart of the recruiting process, and they've started to narrow down their decisions. But the 2018s, again, we haven't really, we haven't extended any offers because we have, for the same reasons. We want to make sure that, this is the right fit. I think one of the questions, was how do you try to make your school attractive to a prospective student athlete? Visit. That's all I have to say about my school. Visit. You visit my school, there's a great chance you're going to come. Why? And just like TK, it's just like, Coach Lee, we have extreme faith in the schools that we work at. Otherwise, we probably wouldn't be there. For me, this is my second tour of duty at Mercyhurst, and I love it. Most people don't get that second chance to come back and really make another positive impact on a program. I'm very fortunate, but again, I would say that I'm looking at TK. She's shaking her head. Oh yeah, just come visit my school. That's all you gotta do, and and that's going to be the hook, line, and sinker that you need in order to come.
Great. And Coach Lee, do you want to just touch on, like for your school specifically, academic or athletic scholarships that kind of happen?
Sure. So we don't have athletic or academic scholarships. So we don't give out scholarships for play. But what we do give in that commitment and recruitment process is the opportunity to go to the school, right? If it's one of the top academic schools in the country, where the school itself is getting thousands of applications a year for 300 beds, with the help of athletics, you're getting access into that school and that program. So that's really kind of like what we're selling, if you will. Most of our schools, Middlebury does, and most of the NESCAC schools as well, give out really great financial aid packages. We are need blind at the school, so a lot of times, kids who are applying are also applying for financial aid as well.
Great. Any other closing statements that you guys want to leave with? Maybe one little piece of advice, although you've given probably dozens throughout this presentation, which we're really grateful for and we appreciate. But I guess, is there one thing that maybe you guys just want to leave with before we end the presentation here?
Before this is over, I just want to make sure that players and their families do their best to make it their own process, and not get caught up in the politics of it. Keep it fun, like Coach said, and it could be the best part of your experience. Is this whole recruiting process is so fun as long as you make it your own, do your homework, and stay away from the politics and the dinner story.
My advice would be persistent. Make sure that you find the schools that have the major that you're looking for. Be self-aware, in your own talents. Make sure that if you have a chance to go watch practice or go watch a game, see that you fit in with that style of play. That would probably be my biggest thing. And then again, if that's where you want to go, or if that's the idea of one of your top 5 schools, be persistent. Email, call, send a text, send smoke signals, whatever it takes to to get the coach's attention.
Yeah, and I guess what I'll add to that is just to be yourself throughout that process and listen to your gut when you go for visits. Listen to your body and what it's feeling. That being said, when you go to recruiting events and those showcases, your #1 goal should be to get better. You're there to get better, regardless of who's there watching, who's attending. So just be yourself and focus on you, essentially.
Coach TK from Quinnipiac, Coach Cooke from Mercyhurst, Coach Lee from Middlebury. We really appreciate you guys coming on tonight. I can't